in paradise, a wife will be raised up. If her husband is above her in paradise, she'll be raised up to his level. And if she's above him in paradise, he'll be raised up to her level. That shows you that it's very rare that husband and wife are on the same level in terms of iman at exactly the same time. And sometimes it's really big, like someone just started practicing and the other one's not really practicing at all. So some things I think are really important. I think first of all, the one who started practicing needs to see their responsibility to be to help their spouse, not to have a go at them. It's not about that I've changed and you haven't. It's more like, okay, how can I get you now to experience this sweetness of Iman? And if you want them to taste that sweetness, it's that really caring about them. And I recognize where I came from. I recognize that I wasn't born, personally, I wasn't born a Muslim. And when I first accepted Islam, I wasn't practicing Islam. So for me, if I can't remember what that was like, and I can't remember the grace of Allah and the blessing of Allah that made me become something that is better than that, only by remembering that I can actually reach out to somebody and help. Looking at your own mistakes and being sincere about your own self before you're looking at those of the other person. And that's a state of mind. It's not about one argument. It's not about whether my wife was right or wrong in a particular argument, but it's more about I have to admit that I am a person who has mistakes. And I have to admit I'm a person that falls short in my marital responsibilities towards my wife. If I don't have that mentality, then every time we get in an argument, my mentality would be I'm the one who's really good, I'm the one who's perfect, and you're not. That will never ever lead to reconciling things. Last one I mentioned, right, is that if you want to have a discussion about maybe some shortcomings, have it when the two of you are in a good mood with each other. Don't try and have a detailed discussion about your marriage and your responsibilities when you're having an argument, because the argument typically is really if you're having an argument, you've got to the point where you're just trying to kind of have a dig at the other person, and that's not a great time to sit down and say, I think you should be spending more time at home, for example. Husband and wife have an inbuilt ability to forgive each other. Allah placed mawadda and rahmah, affection and mercy between husband and wife in a way that it's an ayah from the ayat of Allah. It's a sign, it's a miracle from the miracles of Allah, the way that Allah put affection and love between husband and wife. They have an ability to forgive each other and overlook each other's faults that other people who are external to that relationship don't have. So what happens? You get the mother-in-law involved, father-in-law gets involved, kids get involved. They don't have that same ability and that same gift from Allah to be able to overlook and forgive. So problems last much longer than they need to. Husband and wife have let it go, but the mother hasn't let it go. The father hasn't let it go. The kids might even be affected by it. If they're young, it might just be an effect where they feel sad about it. If they're older, the kids might even be involved and be like, I'm on mum's side, I'm on dad's side. It's so important to try and contain those issues so that it's not on public display. You split the life of your child, or you see the life of your child as 3 phases. 7 years, 7 to 14 years, 14 plus. Sure. The first 7 years is all about play. It's all about showing your love and affection and care. You're teaching them through playing with them and spending time with them. And the second 7 years is all about education. Now they're at a phase where they're able to understand right and wrong. That's a phase where the main focus is education. And I don't use the word discipline because it has negative connotation, but if you understand what I mean by discipline, like, teaching them morals and values. And then once they get to adulthood, which most people will get to at 14 or 15, you really can't educate them in the same way. But it's more about companionship and just being there and being a friend for them, being a shoulder to cry on. Even when they mess things up and they do things wrong, you're still there for them. And you become more like a friend than a teacher.